All right, let's talk about a term you hear thrown around all the time, cloud computing. What does it actually mean? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and show you the real engine that powers pretty much everything you do online, from your late night study sessions to your weekend Netflix binges. Let's dive in. So, let me start with a question for you. Think about all your photos, all your university essays, your favorite music playlists. Where do they actually live? I mean, they're not really on your phone or your laptop, not all of them anyway. The answer is, of course, the cloud. And no, it's not some fluffy white thing up in the sky, but it is an absolute revolution in computing. Here's a quick look at our game plan. We're going to start with how things were before the cloud, then we'll get into the magic that makes it all possible. After that, we'll explore how it's used today, and we'll wrap up with some tips to make you a smarter, safer cloud user. To really get why the cloud is such a big deal, we need to kind of hop in a time machine. Let's head back to a world where every single website, every app, every email service needed its own physical, clunky, and honestly, really loud home. Before the cloud, this was the reality for everybody. Think about your university's email system. They would have had to buy this big, expensive computer, a server, and stuff it in a closet somewhere. It's noisy, it sucks up a ton of power, and oh yeah, someone has to be ready to fix it at 3 in the morning when it inevitably crashes. Not exactly ideal. Yeah, this really sums up the nightmares of that whole era. Yet something called server sprawl, which is just rooms full of expensive machines, many of them not even being used, just collecting dust. And even worse, you had a single point of failure. So if that one email server at your university died, the entire campus was cut off. No emails, no assignments, absolutely nothing. And this is where the cloud just changes the whole game. Instead of a massive upfront cost for a server you might barely use, the cloud is pay as you go. Instead of you having to fix it, there's a team of experts managing it 24/7. And that risk of failure, it basically plummets, because these cloud systems have tons of built-in redundancy. So, how did we escape that server closet? What's the magical technology that made this huge leap possible? Well, the answer is a truly genius concept called virtualization. At its core, this is the simplest and, honestly, the best definition of the cloud. You're basically renting time and space on these massive, super powerful computers owned by companies like Amazon or Google. But here's the real magic trick. How can they possibly rent out one single computer to thousands of different people all at the same time? The secret is virtualization. Think of it like this. Virtualization software takes one gigantic physical server and slices it up into hundreds of smaller, totally independent virtual computers. Each one thinks it's its own machine. It's like turning one giant mansion into a bunch of separate apartments. This is what solves server sprawl and makes sure no computing power ever goes to waste. It is the engine that powers the entire cloud. Okay, so we've got the how. Now let's talk about the what. You see, when you use the cloud, you're not just getting one thing. It's kind of like a buffet with different levels of service, depending on what you need. So, first up is what we call infrastructure as a service, or IaaS. The best analogy is renting an empty dorm room. You get the basics, the walls, the floor, a connection to electricity, but you have to bring in all your own furniture and set it up how you want. You get the most control, but you also have the most responsibility. Next is platform as a service, or PaaS. This is like moving into a fully furnished dorm room. The bed is made, the desk is there, the utilities are all hooked up. You don't have to worry about the big stuff. You can just bring your laptop and your books and get right to work on building your application. And finally, we have software as a service, or SaaS. This is the one you absolutely use every single day. This is like living in a dorm that has a full meal plan. You don't cook, you don't do dishes, you just show up and everything is ready for you. It's the most convenient option by far. Think Google Docs, Spotify, Office 365, that's all SaaS. So here's the bottom line. As you move from IaaS all the way to SaaS, you're basically trading control for convenience. It really just depends on what you need to do. Do you want to build a house from scratch, or just move into one that's already built? On top of the service model, there's also the question of who gets to use the cloud. A public cloud, like Google Drive, is like a public park. It's open to everyone. A private cloud is like your own fenced-in backyard. It's exclusively for your organization. A hybrid cloud is when you have a backyard that also has a gate connecting to the public park. And a community cloud, that's kind of like a private park just for a specific neighborhood. Say, a group of hospitals that all need to share sensitive data securely. Okay, so the cloud offers some incredible power and flexibility. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are definitely some trade-offs you need to be aware of. So let's take a look at the good, the bad, and maybe a little bit of the ugly. The upsides are huge. You can scale your needs up or down on a dime, and you save a ton of money on hardware. But the downsides are real. I mean, your data is sitting on someone else's computer, so you're trusting them to keep it safe. And when a major provider has an outage, it can feel like half the internet just disappears. And those cost surprises, oh, they are real. Imagine you forget to turn off a service for a class project and wake up to a bill for hundreds of dollars. It happens. Now let's bring all of this back to you. You might not really think of yourself as a cloud user, but I can guarantee you are using it all day, every single day. Seriously, just think about your day so far. Did you stream any music on Spotify? Save a photo to iCloud? Watch a video on YouTube? Work on a group project in Google Drive? Yep, every single one of those things is powered by the cloud. The modern internet as we know it just flat out would not exist without it. And here's a totally mind-blowing example. Netflix. It's one of the biggest entertainment companies on the planet, right? It doesn't own a single one of its own servers for streaming. Instead, it pays Amazon to handle all of that data storage and streaming. And that's a brilliant move, because it lets Netflix focus on what it does best, making awesome shows and movies, not managing a global network of computers. And Netflix is definitely not alone. The cloud market is dominated by just a few massive companies. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is the undisputed king, holding about a third of the entire global market. Microsoft and Google are right behind them, which means if you think about it, a huge portion of the internet is actually running on the infrastructure of just 3 companies. So seeing as how the cloud is so deeply woven into our lives, how can we make sure we're using it wisely and keeping our stuff safe? Let's go over a few key practices. This is your essential security checklist. First, and I absolutely cannot stress this enough, do not reuse your passwords, please. Second, turn on 2-factor authentication for every single account that offers it. That little code you get on your phone is one of the most powerful security tools you have. And finally, just be a little paranoid about sharing links. It is shockingly easy to accidentally share a private document with the entire world. And all this brings us to our final and maybe the most important question. When you upload a photo or write an essay in the cloud, who really owns it? Is it you? Is it the cloud company? It's actually a pretty complicated question, and the answer can have a huge impact on your privacy. As more and more of our lives move online, this is a question we all really need to start asking.